Good morning. Good morning. It's Wednesday. It is gratitude Wednesday, you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Just making sure we logged into the group. Good morning. Good morning. It is Gratitude Shift Wednesday. It's Gratitude Shift Wednesday. Today we're talking about breaking through barriers and overcoming these hidden obstacles, you guys. Overcoming the hidden obstacles that really prevent us from healing, stop us from healing, or even a conversation of really if we want to heal, right? I do want to give a disclaimer this morning. This session is designed to really just provide insight and awareness into your healing process. If you're in here, just put good morning in the chat, right? Um, the disclaimer is that this session is designed to really provide insight and awareness into your healing process, but true healing really requires, intentional action and an investment in yourself. If you are serious about your healing journey, please seek out the resources, the guidance, your own professional support that really aligns with the things that you need because you are truly worth your investment, you guys. You are truly, truly, truly worth your investment. All right. So I just want to welcome you back to Life Lessons. I want to welcome you back to Life Lessons with myself. If you're new here, I am Dr. Sheila Little, licensed master social work. Life Lessons is truly a part of Project Life. Project Life is an initiative where we turn theory into practice. So let's take our deep breath. Let's take our deep breath and just get present, right? This is our time. This is your time to really be present. No pressure. Just your presence. Let's feel your feet on the floor, in your legs, in your stomach, right? Let's just get present in our body, in our arms, up our neck, and in our face, right? Um, yeah, let's breathe in awareness and breathe out resistance. Breathe out resistance. Breathe out resistance. Okay. Um, Before we start our session today, you guys, I want you to drop a comment in the chat of how you feeling today. Good morning, Pep. Good morning, Miss Delana. Drop a comment of how you're feeling this morning. I think I am feeling stretched this morning. I think this is like, I don't know. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. We're talking about healing. And I think for me, just feeling stretched, I'm take y'all on my journey with me. So I'm created that stopping now mythology, right, which is the women's condition stop it now framework as the prescription and the lemonade as your solution. And creating that mythology and looking at all of the different parallels and um, models, right, to really help shape that framework and really certifying it so that I can, really train other coaches to become life coaches. And so, yes, I'm pretty stretched. So, you know, let me know how you're feeling today. All right. All right. The reason I say stretch, I want to go into it because I talk about healing a lot. I talk about, healing, shaping your life, all of those things. And I think that I really don't just give myself permission to talk about these things um, because I'm a licensed therapist or because I have a PhD, right? It's because I've walked this journey, you guys. I've walked the journey of literally going from the child who was raped, molested, physically, mentally, emotionally abused, mother didn't want any kids at the time, right? Living in poverty, right? Being one of the poorest homes on the block. I mean, literally one pair of shoes the whole school year. Shoes talk, had to figure out how can I, mend my shoes back. So I just walk with one of my shoes just kind of sliding on the ground, right? infested homes, living in infested homes. Sometimes we didn't have electricity, right? Sometimes we didn't have water, right? Um, and really at that time feeling like this just can't be life, right? And so even though I felt like this couldn't be life, there was this need to in some way bring everybody with me or like please everybody because of that rejection, because of not being seen, and then also being a highly intelligent young lady in that type of environment. And so there was this kind of like teasing, you think you know everything. So I do think I probably triggered a lot of people around me. I was very curious. I asked a lot of questions, right? And so there was a lot of resistance around me. And what that fueled me to do was to create these coping mechanisms to try to help, want to help people, being a people pleaser, things like that. And it's really this desire to succeed, right? And looking for what that was like because I didn't have a mama to really model. I always say like I didn't have a mother, but I didn't feel like a motherless child. My grandmother raised me, but even in that home, I don't think we had a model for. I know I didn't have a model for what a mother was, what a family looked like, and things like that. So even when I had my own kids, like I'm just going from this idea, right? Get an education, do this, and things like that. Now I do want to give this caveat: I had a gift, right? I could do hair, so I really started doing hair at like 12 years old. Made a lot of money in my teenage years. I really did get to experience a lot of life, but making money at 12 years old, I think created a bigger barrier because I could access a lot of money in a short amount of time. Then money became my shield, and I really had this broken kind of relationship with money. So when we're talking about healing, this is not me talking about healing from the academia, right? Perception. It is that I myself had to do a lot of healing, and still have to go through that through my life right now because of I don't even know if you guys can hear me because I don't have on my headphones. I had to go through that because of my background, right, and the things that I went through, and so today I'm feeling stretched, right, because when I'm creating any new piece of content or really trying to expand the business in our services, I can feel this. I used to feel it when I was getting my PhD, like, oh, do we really want to do this? It's like this kind of overwhelming feeling. And then I have to use the same tools that I'm telling you guys. And it's not just about using those tools. Then I go into like deeper meditations, like really listening to myself, really sitting in this uncomfortable feeling, right? Doing all of these things until that cloud subside. And that's how I look at it. Oh, this is a cloud in the sky. I truly believe that the sky is blue all the time, right? And then we get clouds that cover up the blue. So let me sit long enough so that this cloud can pass, so this storm can pass, and not try to do because the old me would have is the do. And now I'm trying to really balance my feminine energy and my feminine and masculine energy, right? Because coming from that background definitely made me a lot more masculine, right? And when I say masculine, I mean like a doer, like do things, fix things, solve things, right? Resist things, right? And so being a female, I really wanted to embody the essence of just being present, right? And allowing life to happen and having this relationship. So this conversation is truly good morning, April. It's truly an important conversation to me. And so this morning, even coming on late this morning, got up, the camera didn't want to work, all of those things I feel like is a part of the just breathe. We're gonna come on, you know what I mean? And talking to myself in a very gentle way and being my friend. All right. So I wanted you to tell me how you feeling this morning. All right. So Monday we explored the stories that we tell ourselves about healing, you guys. Tuesday we uncovered the triggers that arise when we choose to heal, right? But today we're going to talk about the obstacles that really show up both internally and externally that really keep us from fully stepping into the healing process. Many times people think healing isn't work, when in reality, they're just hitting normal resistance. I mean, many people think healing isn't working, when reality, they're just hitting normal resistance, you guys. Like it comes with the territory, right? So the resistance that I'm feeling as I'm expanding my life, as I'm healing my life, the resistance that my clients face when they're healing their life, when they're changing their perspective, it's like a tug of war. It's like you're pulling, and that is the normal resistance that comes with change, you guys. So let's unpack that today. All right. So who this session is for? It's really for individuals who stuck in their healing journey, despite putting in the effort, right? You've been to a therapist, you've been to a coach, you read some self-help books, you've done some things, right? And you feel stuck. All right. You still feel stuck in this journey. Those who struggle with sabotaging behaviors, fear of change, and really emotional overwhelm, right? High achievers who feel successful but not really fulfilled because old wounds remain unaddressed. All right. And then people who recognize their triggers, but don't know how to move through them. Okay. I know that I'm being triggered. I just don't know really what to do. And then I always want to say the faith driven individuals who want to align their spiritual growth with their emotional healing. I do think that there's one element in our faith driven community where we are taught to separate ourselves from our bodies, and that really um Miss, hi mom Kwana. uh she says she's triggered. Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. If you want to talk about it, you can definitely DM me after the session. Okay. So I really want to talk about this faith driven community, because I do think a lot of times in faith driven communities, there's this separation from our bodies, right? So our bodies are very sinful. We know there's no good thing that dwells within us, right? We hear these scriptures and things like that. And so when we go back on the healing journey, we have to start feeling our body again, right? We have to really start to love ourselves, this thing that we have been separated from, right? And so we may have some stark beliefs against what it means to be in alignment, or even live with this, live in this body as a spiritual being, right? And so the faith-based individuals who want to align spiritually and aligning their spiritual growth and emotional healing. And what does that really look like and feel like? And a big part of my clientele are those type of people, right? Who definitely have faith, but want to learn how to really integrate the process, because what they have realized is that they have judged people for so long and judged themselves and really focused on perfectionism for so long, and it's becoming draining, and it's actually in trying to control their life, and it's actually creating this gap within them. All right. Right. So our powerful quote for today is, you guys, healing is not about becoming a new person. It's about letting go of everything that isn't you. All right. Healing is not about becoming this new person, you guys. It's about letting go of everything that isn't you. And that is so powerful to me, because I always say, people say, I need to get out of my way. I need to get out of my way. And for me, I'm like, you don't need to get out your way. You need to get in your way. You need to stand up in yourself. You need to align in your truth, right? Because if you think about it, if you think about this quote, healing is not about becoming a new person. I really think that one of our beliefs is that, like, I need to become this new thing, as if you're changing from, an apple to an orange, or a grape to a watermelon, right? As in some way that's happening. And it's not that. It's really, in a sense, like you're an apple, you're an apple tree. In the process of you growing, rocks got put down. Good morning, brother. Rocks got put in the way. The soil got hardened, right? Maybe you hit concrete, right? You know what I mean? In the ground, something happened with the rooting system, and we're removing those things, right? Filtering out the soil, right? Putting in better soil, doing things so that the growth process can continue, because it got halted. And when did it get halted? A lot of times it got halted in something that we heard. So we can talk about a traumatic event. Probably halted it. Maybe it was some level of rejection that halted it. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was an environment, right? You never was in an environment for the seed to truly cultivate itself, all right? And so if we look at that, then it's like, oh, okay, so I don't have to do the work to become a new person. I'm really just creating space for the person that I am already to become. So our powerful quote is, healing is not about becoming a new person, you guys. It's about letting go of everything that isn't you. You know, we can give our mama back her stuff. We can give our daddy back his stuff. We can give that old, relationship that's been holding us hostage. We can give that stuff back to them so that we can grow in alignment with who we were created to be. Okay. All right. Healing is, if that makes sense, put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat for me if that makes sense for you. All right. Healing is not just about moving forward, you guys. It's about really facing the resistance that naturally comes up along the way. Many people want to heal before they really understand this, right? So many people want to heal but feel blocked by things that they can't quite name, right? Like it's something that's stopping me, but I really can't name it. I can't name it. Do y'all got y'all coffee, or am I late with the coffee? All right. These obstacles can be emotional, you guys. They can be mental or even biological. All right. These obstacles can be emotional, mental, or even biological. Listen, obstacles that arise from the stories that we tell ourselves. That's what we talked about on Monday, right? I don't need to heal. I'm fine. So some of our obstacles is just the denial and the avoidance, right? Some of our obstacles is the belief that healing just isn't possible, right? That I'm always broken. This is just who I am. Okay. Um, a passive healing instead of active healing, right? This concept that time heals all wounds, right? So I don't really have to really do anything because time is going to work itself out for me, right? Some obstacles that we face in the triggers that we talked about yesterday is like healing is making me feel worse than better, right? So this is a trigger that comes up that ends up becoming an obstacle because I'm feeling this emotional overload, right? If I was really healing, I wouldn't feel triggered, right? This belief that in some way healing is going to make me perfect, right? And so once I'm healed, then I shouldn't hurt anymore. Um I shouldn't hurt anymore. I shouldn't be triggered anymore. I shouldn't get angry anymore. I shouldn't want to, go, wrangle somebody's head off, right? Like in some way, then I must not really have healed that part of me because I'm still feeling triggered and I'm still feeling anger and I'm still feeling these emotions, right? So this kind of like perfectionism or spiritual pressure to be like all of this greatness, right? And so that's triggered. And so sometimes that can become an obstacle in our healing journey. All right. If I heal, who will I become? This is a huge one because some of us have lived in pain for so long, right? Maybe in I'm gonna use this word softly, toxic relationships, or maybe in abandonment, maybe in isolation, right? And so if I'm not with this person in this codependent toxic relationship, then who will I be? Right? Who will I be? How will I function? Right? And that fear of change can really become an obstacle for you in your healing journey, right? And then we have just the body and mind's resistant to unfamiliar change, even when it feels pressure, right? One of these obstacles is just our mind not wanting to change, right? It's just the survival brain versus our healing brain, right? It's just we have a survival brain, right? And so when I start to heal, I may feel this resistance because my mind is truly uncomfortable with that. All right. Healing sometimes requires us to let go of relationships that are tied to our old wounds, right? So we tend to have this fear of outgrowing people, right? This is huge because I say that a lot of times we don't have to, I want to give this caveat. A lot of times we don't have to, in a sense, cut the people off. but we probably can't press pause for our healing. And then when I come back, because I'm elevated and because I'm different, the relationship become different. And then your healed self will make that decision, right? Your healed self will say, okay, organically, this person understands because now I'm putting up boundaries. I'm saying what I should do. I'm saying what I shouldn't do, right? I'm feeling stuff, I'm addressing stuff, and that is work. And that can become the obstacle because now I'm actually speaking up for myself in relationships where I used to not say anything. Now I have an opinion where before I didn't. And now that is, you know, people are not resisting you. You're just showing up different, right? And so sometimes there's this fear of outgrowing the people around us. And this is normal, you guys. This is normal, okay? Some people feel like they don't deserve to heal because of their past mistakes, based off of what I did when I was younger, how I treated people, the things that happened to me, right? So they carry this kind of guilt and self-blame, right? And I just want to say that that's okay, right? We can have compassion for ourselves, right? And then, if I've carried this pain for all these years, you guys, healing can feel like I'm losing a part of myself, all right? So there's an attachment that's really attached to the pain. All right. And so that can become an obstacle because I've lived in pain and deceit. And, it reminds me of, I work with people who go on a weight loss journey and they'll lose a lot of weight, but they still feel, right, like fat on the inside. Right. And so no matter how much weight they lose, like it's a cognitive distortion with how much weight I'm gonna lose and like how I feel in my body. And so weight management becomes the a struggle for them. All right. So we are sometimes have identified with this pain of our past. And so if we carry that for years, sometimes the obstacle could be, right, this attachment to that. And I just want you to know that all of that is okay, right? We don't have to judge that, it because now that I know I can breathe. All right. Oh, this is a part of the path, right? So remember, O is for obstacles, these internal, external blocks, right? So obstacles that people face when they're trying to heal can really either stagnate the healing process, send people running back the other way, right? So healing is healing from these emotional wounds and these past pain isn't like a linear process, you guys. So when we think about healing, we think about this do like this very linear straight line process, and it's not. It's full of ups and downs and valleys and drops and and things like that. And I always say like as long as your healing looks like this, meaning you're not still here, like each time you go up, you may drop, but you're not dropping back down here. You may be dropping, a little bit above it. And then you go up a little further down. Maybe you don't go up as far down, right? But you're ascending, right? So we talk about this ascension process, like you're still incrementally getting better, right? And that's what we want to see in our healing process. We want to see these incremental growth. Okay. All right. So healing from emotional wounds and past pain isn't a linear process. Many people want to heal, but encounter barriers. So some they recognize and others they don't. So some of the barriers we recognize, right? And we have pointed in our head, right? We have pointed in our head like, oh, I knew I was going to get some resistance from them. I knew this. But some of the spaces like our blind spots, right? So these obstacles can be divided into really two categories, right? Obstacles during our healing process, and then obstacles that's preventing our healing process. So it's things that we're going to go through during our healing process. And then there's things that we're going to go through that can be preventing our healing process. Now, during our healing process, challenges that arrive after the decision has been made to heal. All right. And then preventing our healing, these are blocks that's really stopping us, that's really stopping our journey. So I'm going to start with the during our healing process because I do think that a lot of people that are here with me today is on their healing journey. All right. All right. So emotional triggers that feel overwhelming, right? So that when I'm on my healing journey, I have these emotional triggers that feel overwhelming and I just don't know what to do with those, right? I feel anxious, but why am I still feeling this? All right. Healing unprocessed emotions and bringing those emotions to the surface, like pain and sadness and anger and grief. Some people get very discouraged, right? When these feelings arise and assume that they're moving backwards instead of forwards. But I want you to think about it as, oh no, this stuff is surfacing now. And that's why I say when you're on your healing journey, we definitely want to be mindful of what we consider a trigger, because it's kind of like, you know, for women, when we have babies, right? When we have babies, sometimes they like, you can't leave the hospital until you pass gas, right? Now, that gas that you're going to pass has nothing to do with the food that you ate, right? Can we agree? So we typically will associate our gas to the food that we ate, right? In that moment. So I just ate and I got gas and we're going to collect those together. I know that this is a graphic explanation, but it's going to make sense. But when we're in a when we come out of a surgery, right, that gas has nothing to do with the food that we ate, right? It has everything to do with the surgery, with the operation, with air coming into our bodies, right? Things like that. And they want that to move through you. I want you to think about your emotions like that. Like you're going into this healing journey. It's kind of like you're going into surgery and you're going to move some energy. You're going to move some gas, right? And when that moves, right, that pain, that sadness, that anger may not have anything to do with what you're currently going through, what you're currently dealing with. It may be repressed, suppressed feelings that have been in you for years. So this is why we want to not become judgmental during this time and give ourselves compassion, because I don't know why I'm feeling sad today. You know, I just feel sad. It's just like a cloud coming over me. I don't know why I'm just so angry right now. And because our mind wants to connect the dots, like then it's like, oh, I must be mad because the way Kim looked at me today. Kim don't got nothing to do with this anger on your healing process, honey. This is anger that may have been stuffed in you for years that now is surfacing because you giving yourself permission to move that energy. If that makes sense, put a 2 in the chat for me, right? So in this case, we really need to shift our perspective from feeling emotions deeply. We really need to shift our perspectives to feeling these emotions deeply is a sign that healing is happening, right? And the key to processing this is to not go back and suppress those feelings, you guys. It's to not really go back and suppress those feelings. All right. Perfectionism in healing the right way. So when we get on our healing journey, right, some people think healing follows this step by step, kind of like grief, like, oh, I should feel this feeling first, I should feel this and then this and then this, right? Because I read this book and this is what it says happens, right? And then we feel disappointed when we hit a setback. Okay. When we feel disappointed when we hit a setback. Others believe healing should be fast and linear, right? And when we don't feel better quickly, then we assume that we failed. You guys, listen. I heard this lady say sometimes we get the revelation right there. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a conversation with somebody and as they talking, you getting it. You like, oh, I get it. I get it. And then if you ever been in a conversation with somebody, you heard what they said, you listening to them, in your mind you confused. Afterwards, you're like washing the dishes, or maybe right before you go to sleep, or maybe a couple of days later, you like, oh, I get it, right? It's more reflective. Okay. Healing can be this way, right? So healing can be happening right in the moment, like, yes, I'm getting it, right? And then healing can be more reflective. Well, when you look back, you understand, oh, I done came a long way, right? We see this in weight loss too, right? So when we start losing weight, sometimes, you don't lose a pound the first week, you don't lose a pound the second week, you feeling discouraged, you like, what is going on? Why am I not losing this weight, right? Like, why is it not coming off? And then one week you come back and you done lost 7 pounds, right? It just drops instantaneous. So we have to give ourselves grace when we're on this healing journey, because everybody's doesn't look the same. They say men, when they go on a weight loss journey, they lose weight faster because their muscle mass, right? So they burn more calories than women, right? So if I want you to think about it like that when we think about healing. Some people may have a higher metabolism rate, right? So they can digest and process these emotions faster than maybe you, right? But it doesn't mean that you're not going to do it. So healing is not a checklist, you guys. It's a process. And growth includes setbacks. It includes slow progress, and it includes breakthroughs, you guys. So I always say one step forward, two steps forward, one step back. We hear people say one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. There's no way that you can do one step forward, two steps back, because you can never forget the thing that you learned, right? So once you have been introduced to something, you can't go beyond backwards and unexperience that. So it's two steps forward, one step back. Two steps forward, one step back. And in those 4 steps, I just attained 2 full steps from the space I was in. Yes, I took one step back, but this is the ebb and flow of life. If that makes sense, put a 3 in the chat for me. This is the ebb and flow of life. Okay. Fear of who they'll become without the pain. We talked about this a little earlier, right? Pain can become a part of our identities, you guys, especially in our relationships. And I'm saying our relationship with pain, right? And it has shown up in our parents, it has shown up, in our environments, right? And so this idea to live without pain is not even a conscious thing, because if I'm telling the grown 30 you this, the grown 40 you this, the grown 50 you this, the grown 60 you this, when I say living without pain, nobody wants to live in pain, right? We can consciously know that, if I want to say raise your hand, right? But really, if we think about it at a deeper level, pain can become a part of our identity, right? We can actually look for it. We can say something and think somebody is going to reject us because of our relationship with pain, right? We can behave in ways where we are a lot more apologetic about how we're showing up because we're in a relationship with pain. All right. All right. So especially if you lived in pain for years, right? So meaning that when you were reared in an environment where people hollered, people shut you down, you never had a voice, right? So this has been a part of your identity for as long as you've known yourself, right? So some people fear that if they fully heal, they won't know who they will become anymore. What would that even look like if I ain't hollering? What would that look like if I ain't trying to fight my way, and get the thing that I want? So some people don't really even know how to function without their wounds, right? And this can become an obstacle because this is how I talk. I cuss motherfuckers out. And I don't want to heal that because that's how I talk. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to, right? You don't have to. And it becomes an obstacle to us really letting go. All right. So the way we can shift that is really healing doesn't erase who you are. It reveals who you were always meant to be, you guys. So healing doesn't erase who you are. It just really reveals who you was always meant to be. All right. All right. Resistance to forgiveness. So when we get on our healing journey, you guys, remember these are for people who are on their healing journey. So this is not just forgiveness of others. This is a forgiveness of ourselves, right? So forgiveness is often misunderstood as approval of harm, okay, which can prevent healing, right? Others hold on to this. People hold on to this self-blame, right? Right. Of things that's happened, and we struggle to really forgive ourselves. What's coming up in my mind is the Lauryn Hill song, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Right. Right. we really do have to forgive ourselves, you guys. And I know that we remember what we did. And at the time that we did it, we probably did it intentionally or not intentionally. But whatever the narrative is, we have to learn to forgive ourselves, because guess what? Forgiveness doesn't mean that it was right. It just means that we're here. We are here on March 12th, 2025. A whole new set of, trees, a whole new set of stars that's over our head, a, a whole new cells in our bodies, right? But we're still carrying that old narrative, because we don't want to let it go. All right. And so forgiveness has to be a part of our journey. And that can be tough, to really let go of something. And guess what? So we tie it back to, let's go back to identity, because this just came in my spirit. So let's go back to the one identity. If my unforgiveness has created an identity for me that has separated me from those individuals who has caused me harm, and now you're telling me to forgive them, then who would that make me? Because I've held this against my mama for 15 years, and now you're telling me to let that go? I have deemed that friend a bad person for what they did to me when we were in our 20s. And now you telling me to let that go? In every friendship, in every relationship that I've encountered, male or female, has been based off of that decision that I made to separate from my mom, or to separate from that friend, or to break up with that man. Like, when I did that, I vowed to myself that I would never, go in that direction again. So now you want me to, in a sense, take that dam off, like break that dam, open those floodgates? Like, no, right? And you may not be saying this consciously, but that is what the brain is trying to process. So what does that mean for me today if I let this go, when the person I am is because of the walls and the boundaries that I put up? And I just want to say that forgiving people has nothing to do with how you choose to interact with people today, right? Forgiving your mama, you can still have these same boundaries, these same guidelines, right? These same protective mechanisms for yourself if you feel like you need to be protected, right? Because really, the idea is to really start to trust yourself so we can move fluidly. But you can still have that, still let go of that pain that mama did, or daddy did, or grandma said, or Joe did, or whoever, right? We can let that go. We can let that go. Okay. Because guess what? Forgiveness is for you. It's really about releasing these emotions that you're holding in your body, from these past experiences, so that you can move forward. Remember, I talked about when the brain creates an emotion, there is something called a neuropeptide that is released in your body, a chemical, and it's supposed to metabolize, right? It's supposed to metabolize. But when we don't digest emotional situations, those neural peptides, they attach to our tissues. So when we start talking about unforgiveness, and it's like unforgiveness is for you, guess what? It's not just for you in the sense of letting it go. It's like, no, you literally are carrying chemicals in your body, right? Let that sit in. You're literally carrying chemicals right now in your tissues, in your cells, right? That's reshaping how you function as an individual, these neuropeptides that we need to release. So we got to release the story that's attached to that. So we got to go back, right? And this is why I gave that disclaimer earlier, because a lot of times we're choosing to go on some healing journeys with the same mind that created the pain. And that just ain't gonna happen, right? Because you'll probably go, you can go a little bit, because we're intelligent beings, so we can go on this floor, but the elevate, right? You still in the same room. We just basically, when you choose to go on a healing journey with the same mind that created the pain, and when I say the same mind that created the pain, I do want to clear that up. Not the people, but the way that you chose to tell yourself about that experience. It's kind of like rearranging the furniture in the same room, right? It's not that you're bringing new furniture in. Good morning, cousin Debbie. It's not like you're bringing new furniture in, or getting a new paint job. It's as if we're just washing the walls down and we're just rearranging the furniture, right? But we're thinking with the idea that I don't know, remodeled my house. A remodel is we getting rid of this furniture. We gonna paint these walls. We may tear some wall, tear a wall down, right? We gonna pull these floors up. We gonna put new floors down. This is a true remodel. What you did was just clean your house up. All right. And a lot of us is cleaning up ourselves, but we're really not remodeling, right? Because that mind is not stopping it. That mind is stopping us from really making the changes and seeing the things that we need to see. If that makes sense, put a four in the chat for me. Okay. All right. And then we talked about this outgrowing our relationships and environments, right? This can be another thing that gets in the way, right? Healing often means that we have to change our social circles. We have to set certain expectations and limitations, what we deem boundaries, and then we have to leave. And I'm just gonna say this softly: toxic spaces. I don't really believe in toxic spaces, but we have to leave toxic spaces, right? Um, this can feel very lonely, you guys, and make people feel guilty for even wanting to evolve beyond, certain relationships. And so this can be a big obstacle, right? Because now I'm alone and things like that. And so that's why, again, healing is an intentional thing. I'm going to start to heal these things. Give me a support group like Project Life. Let me give me a coach. Let me give me a therapist, right? That can really help me process these things. And something like Project Life would be good because that means I'm showing up every day for this bite-sized recipe, and then I'm meeting every week within a group setting, right? And then if I go to legacy membership, then now I'm learning a new skill to kind of attach to that, right? And it's other people that have daily things too. I think Brittany Noel has one. She's a therapist out of Tennessee, and I don't think hers is a lot, right? Hers is a membership, so you actually pay before you get in. So it's a lot of us who are taking on this initiative to really show up daily for our communities because we understand how important this support is. All right, so those were the things that really get in the way when we start our healing. All right, they really get in the way during the healing process. Emotional triggers, like I said, perfectionism, fear of who we'll become without the pain, right? Really resistance to forgiving ourselves and other people, and then outgrowing relationships and environments. So here's the other side of that. This is the obstacles that are preventing people from starting healing, right? So if you one of those people who's sitting on the sideline and you watching the game, right? You watching people heal, you watching these videos, right? These may be some of the things that you're going through. Okay. So this I'm fine mentality, right? That denial, right? This denial or avoidance, right? Many people believe time alone will heal their wounds. So they avoid addressing their pain, right? They just feel like, mama taught us that though. Grandma taught us that. Leave it alone, it'll go away. Don't talk about it, it'll go away. Right? I told you my grandma, my great grandmother, yeah. She's like, that you should have took that to your grave. If y'all know my story, my father, I realized who my father was when I turned 19, right? He came back into my life. I ended up meeting my brother when I was like 15 or 16, through a mutual friend. And I would go and I would, go hang out with him. I mean, we just hung out like every day. I felt like I had met my twin, in another person who I thought was my cousin, right? Um, and my dad found out. And so he found out that we were, hanging out, hanging tough. And I guess he thought at that time that me and my brother was maybe an item or something like that. And we wasn't. We were really just really cool. And so he came and he told my mom, you need to tell her that I'm her dad. Because at that time, this other man had paid my child support, had been my dad. I didn't have a relationship with him though. But I knew him as my dad. And And yeah, and so my great grandmother, and because so my dad would have been like my fourth cousin, so it would have been like my mom's like third cousin or something like that. So my great grandma was like, I would have took that to the grave. Like she would have just, but some people have that, like, it would have healed itself, it would have worked itself out. But my dad really had this thing where he just didn't want his kids to, I guess, procreate, and I was not even attracted to my brother. And just tell you how life shows up. I met this guy through a mutual friend, and the mutual friend is like, hey, you need to come meet this guy. Like, y'all talk alike, y'all act alike, and I meet him, and we did. We was just like very in sync with each other. But like I said, it was never anything. And then I met my dad at 19 years old, and he's still in my life today. All right. All right. So, but many people think that time will heal wounds, and they really don't. Right. We really gotta, and I guess what I'm bringing up is these secrets, right? This stuff that we're carrying, that secrets that we haven't really worked through, right? And we know that in our culture, and I know that there may be some other cultures on here, and I've worked with cultures, in a lot of I work with a lot of different cultures, and, every culture has their way of keeping their secrets. Okay. What we tell, what we give permission to tell, and things like that. That's not just a Black culture thing. However, I am speaking to my people, right? In our culture, there is this deep need to like keep secrets or don't talk about that, right? And it can fester in us. It can fester in us, right? And in those type of situations, time is not going to heal that, right? Intention will, because when now I have the intention to move this energy, to forgive this, to let this go, to talk about it, to express it, now I'm getting in alignment with myself, and I'm releasing, right, that chemical out my body. Okay. All right. If that makes sense, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 5 in the chat for me. Candace said, I hate secrets in our culture. Every family does this. Yes, yes. And it makes sense when we think about the lineage, right? Our lineage, like, we had to be secretive. We couldn't let some people know certain things, because if they knew, they may have went and told master, right? And then now we would have gotten in trouble. So it makes sense from a lineage type of way for survival, right? But in this day and age, I think secrets is allowing for for experiences to happen that really we don't need. They don't need to be happening. That need to be, in a sense, exposed, right? We need to expose that, right? So that we can get that out of here. Okay. And I think that when we have allowed these secrets to happen, with this sense that time to heal it, or we're not going to talk about it, right? Then, or downplaying, the effect of it, right? Then I think that it makes it difficult for people to really start the healing journey, right? Ms. Kwana said, and the expectation is he or she will get over it. Yes, 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 exactly. So time alone will heal on. You will get over it. You will get past it. And it's as if that thing stays with you, right? And because somebody told you you will get over it, you get past it. Now we start to judge ourselves, right? We start to judge ourselves because we ain't over it. It's been 5 years. It's been 10 years. It's been 20 years. For some people, it's been 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. I have a grandmother who's 86. Something that, her mother did at 12 years old, she still talks about vividly today. You know what I mean? That's 80 years, 70 years, right? That this thing has stayed with her, that we're just now working through and being able to like see that thing differently, so she can be able to, one, forgive herself, accept herself, and love herself. When we're talking about an 86-year-old woman, right? Right. So again, many people believe that time alone will heal wounds, so they avoid addressing their pains. Others believe that healing is only necessary for serious traumas, right? So they downplay their own struggles. So now, what is a serious trauma, right? Who deemed what serious trauma is, right? So here's the shift that we need to make. Healing isn't just for people in crisis, you guys. It ain't just for the people who went through the fires, right? It ain't for the people who just, was in Hurricane Katrina, right? So we can justify that, right? It's for anyone who wants to grow beyond their pain and live fully. It's for anyone who wants to grow beyond their pain. Why? Because we're divine beings and we know what divine means. Divine means that I transcend my limitations. Okay? I have permission to do that. All right? And I think that some people are like, well, what you going to a therapist for? Or why you trying to get help? Or why you need a coach? Because I'm trying to transcend past this obstacle, right? Kawana said exactly, like, why can't I get over this? Like they say, yeah. And people really wondering why they can't get over it, right? My brother said, you cooking today, sis, honey, on 100 degrees. Um, Kawana said, give yourself grace always. Yes, we have to give ourselves grace, and we really have to stop letting the things that people have told us about what we should do on our journey stop us, right? So because healing is just not for people in crisis. It's for anybody who really wants to live beyond their pain. All right. Fear facing your past. This is another one, right? So these all tie in. So a lot of times we're not choosing to heal and go through our healing journey because we don't want to face the past. That's something I'd have ran away from. I'm past that, right? So for some, looking back is just too painful, right? Um, they'd rather keep busy, avoid conversations, and numb their emotions than really revisit, the hurt, this hurt that they have in them, right? I meet a lot of people like this, and I don't know how other people do it. And I get this, right? I get that we don't want to revisit the pain, and I just have to tell people, and I'm gonna give you this little secret right here, and I'm not telling you to do it. I'm saying that you can do this when you go get the right support, the professional support. You can ask them to walk you through an exercise like this, because when we go back, we typically go back and reflect, right? That means that my grown 46-year-old self, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna reflect on a moment in my past. And I'm using this word reflecting because it's like mirror, right? I'm gonna reflect on a moment in my past, and when I reflect, it's as if I'm bringing that moment to this current moment. So if I'm reflecting on that little girl who was getting teased in school, then that's going to make me feel that little girl's pain today. Okay, because I'm reflecting. So I'm taking myself back to sit myself in that little girl's shoes, and I'm feeling that pain today. That's the power of, we talk about conditioned realities. I can become that little girl just like that, right? Just like that, just by going back and thinking about that. All right. Now, however, as a 46-year-old, I know I'm not that little girl. So I don't have to reflect on her. I can go back and review it as if I'm watching it objectively, because that's not the grown me anymore. I can go back and I can review that situation, right? And I can look for details, right? But I don't have to take the emotions with me, or do I need to bring the emotions back? Okay. And so a lot of times this whole looking back is too painful. It's because you're looking back in reflection. You're putting yourself back there every time. And it is a skill to be able to review, to be able to speak about this in a very objective way. We learn how to do that as we heal. So once you remember, this is what the thing that's making you stop yourself from healing. Okay. So if you choose to heal, if this is one of the things that's stopping you from healing because you feel like your pain is too painful, your past is too painful, and you really don't want to bring this stuff up, and it's just too overwhelming for you, then I could say, hey, if you really want to heal and you really feel like your life can change, there is a way that we can go back and revisit your past, and we don't even have to do that. You don't have to review it and feel all of that stuff, right? And there's a way that we can just move forward in your life. And as the thing, and this is the work, this is how I do my work. As this stuff come up, we review it. So we ain't coming to say, okay, tell me about everything that happened to you, every wound, every war room, you ain't coming to sit on my couch and just, okay, when I was little and I'm doing a timeline. There is a exercise where we timeline, but that's not the essence of of the work that we're doing. And so I think that a lot of times the way we think about healing and what it's going to require is preventing us. Okay. So this whole idea that my past is too painful, I'd rather keep busy, avoid the conversation, and numb my emotions versus revisiting them. I get it. I understand 100%. Right. But here's the thing, the past has already shaped you. That past thing that you're trying to avoid has already made you who you are today, right? Acknowledging it doesn't make it stronger, right? Acknowledging your past doesn't make it stronger. It gives you the power to rewrite the impact that it has had on you. Actually, right? Because that past situation that you don't want to look back at, that's too painful for you to review, has already done what it's gonna do to you, right? And that's why you showing up the way you're showing up now, right? And I get that. And I want you to get that. So we don't have to be scared of that past anymore. We don't have to be fearful of that past anymore because it already has done to you what it's going to do to you, right? So now we can acknowledge it, right? We can acknowledge it. We can acknowledge that it doesn't make you stronger. It's not making you a better person, right? Which will give you the power to rewrite that narrative. If that makes sense, put a 6 in the chat for me. Okay. If you felt that, put a 6 in the chat. All right. Number 8, number 8, the belief that that you are too broken to heal, right? Some people really just think their wounds are too deep. My wounds is too deep and that healing is impossible for me, right? They carry a level of shame and believe that they are really beyond repair, right? Some people are really carrying a heavy weight and just feel like, I'm just unfixable. And I do want you to shift this perspective to no one is too broken to be healed, honey. Listen, no one is too broken to be healed. Healing is not about erasing the past, you guys. It's about learning how to live with peace in this present moment. It's about learning how to live with peace in the present moment, you guys. And so your pain is not too deep for you to learn how to live in peace today. Your pain is not too deep for you to learn how to love yourself and have compassion for yourself today. Remember, that situation has already done what it's going to do. It can't do no more. It can't hurt you no more. But the more you carry it every day, it can stop you. It can stop you from having this peace, this love, this connection that you desire for yourself. All right. All right. So healing is not about erasing your past. And again, I get of people a lot that's just like, I just want to get rid of that. I just need to stop this. I just don't want to think about that no more. And it's just like, that's just not going to happen ever. We are highly intelligent beings. Like you just not going to unexperience an experience unless you go to like therapy. I mean, get hypnotized or something, right? Unless you go through hypnotherapy, we're not going to unlearn the things that we have experienced, but we can relearn new things to balance out those experiences, you guys. And we have to give ourselves a chance. We have to see a little bit of worth in us, right? We have to know that something is on the other side, that is a balance of life and we don't have to suffer. All right. So this belief that you are too broken to heal, listen, that's just not true. That's just not true. Right? No one is too broken to heal. No one is too broken to heal. All right. And then cultural and family conditions, right? So another thing that's stopping people from healing, right, is these cultural and family conditions. So some people are raised in families and cultures where emotions are dismissed, right? This is where me and my Kwana was just talking about. Therapy is taboo, right? Suffering is normalized, right? You know, uh, that makes healing feel wrong and unnecessary, right? Or minimized, right? This is huge. We've talked about this in our culture, how, therapy is like this taboo thing. I've talked about it on Monday where a lot of times we fear healing because we're fearful of possibly being diagnosed with the mental illness, and I really want to have a conversation between mental illness and mental health, because healing is a part of your mental health, right? It's not like in a sense identifying you with the mental illness, but if you do have a mental illness, then that's okay too, right? Then there's help out there to really help you navigate life with that. But this whole idea that therapy is taboo, suffering is normal, I remember I sat down at my kitchen table at my grandmother's house, not my kitchen table, but the table at the kitchen table at my grandmother's house. And I was working at Delta College, and I came home. Oh, no. I was breaking up our relationship with my kid's father, and because by this time I just got like, I was just numb on the inside. Like, it was just, I felt like I was dying, right? And it wasn't just my kid's father, it was just like everything around me, right? And I just had to break up with that life. And I sat on my kitchen table, and I told my grandma, because I'm a communicator, so I told my grandma, I sat my grandma and my mama down, and I was like, so I just want you guys to know that, I'm going to be breaking up, and I'm be looking for me a place to stay, or, we're really trying to figure out how we're going to navigate this. And my grandma looked at me. My grandma looked at me and said, "That's a good man. Don't he got health insurance?" I was like, "Yes, Granny, he got health insurance. Don't he got a good job?" Yep, he got a good job. So why are you breaking up with him? Because I'm not happy. Girl, you keep trying to go for that happiness, you gonna miss out on a good man. And it was just like totally dismissed this idea that my suffering was a part of the experience that I should be having. I also heard, like, is he beating you? Because if he ain't beating you, then why are you leaving? Right? And I'm telling you that I'm emotionally, like, suffocating in this relationship, right? I'm emotionally suffocating in this relationship. Not that he's a bad guy, but because I just didn't have the tools to navigate that relationship. And like, and the suffering was normalized. I meet people every day, right? I'm working with women and men who are suffering, right? And in some way they have normalized their suffering as something that um that help is unnecessary, that really stepping out and doing the work and getting a new perspective is in some way, right, is unnecessary. I worked with a person yesterday who deals with Catholic guilt, a little bit Catholic guilt, and we talked about sexuality, right? And like his beliefs around sexuality and this guilt he had about having desires for his mate that he hadn't shared, because in his home, this therapy was that taboo, emotions was dismissed, and then in his church he was taught so many things that really separated him from his body. So now he's in love, now he has a family, but now he's feeling shame and guilt about the desires that's coming up for him and how he wants to connect with this woman because of how he's seen himself. But in his family, when he went to go get therapy, it was like, well, why are you going to get therapy? And so we really need to know that healing is not a weakness, it's a strength, you guys. Breaking cycles of emotional suppression allows future generations to experience freedom, like mental freedom, emotional freedom, right? To break the chains off of our brains and our hearts and our minds, okay? All right. And then number 10, just the fear of losing control, you guys. Some people keep emotional walls up because, vulnerability feels unsafe, right? They fear that if they truly feel their emotions, they will fall apart and never recover, right? So this is an interesting dynamic, because a lot of times, I just don't want to heal because I just don't want to lose this control that I got. I make people do stuff. I judge people. I have everything in my mind, and not realizing that that's coming at a cost, you guys. This fear of losing control, this control that you're trying to have in your life, is costing you. It's costing you some emotions, some emotional currency. It's costing you some mental currency, right? You're having some anxiety. You're feeling some bouts of depression, right? You're feeling like, you gotta manage every person's life, right? Just to not feel, right? Just to not feel this vulnerability, right? So some people just keep walls up just to keep themselves safe from being vulnerable, from feeling vulnerable. Because guess what? Vulnerability, and I say it is a blossoming. It is like this expansion. It is like you're going from this ice cube and it's melting. Right. Good morning, Mama Sharon. Right. And it's melting and you're feeling that expansion. You feeling yourself expand, right? And melt. And if you think about it like that, like you're looking for what's going to catch me. If I was a block of ice, I know that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Okay. I feel that. But when I start to feel and that ice starts to melt, like it's as if I'm searching for where's the end? Where's the end to this? Like I'm looking for a container or something to put these feelings into because I feel like they're going everywhere. Okay, that's what vulnerability is, right? And that feeling of expanding, it does, but we breathe through that. We learn how to allow ourselves to expand and grow and feel that, because that feeling is only going to last a moment. But when we're trying to collect and bring it back in, and now we take a moment of something that is only supposed to last a moment, and it will be with us forever, because we're constantly trying to, oh no, water, come back, come back. We gotta keep ourselves together. All right. So here's a different perspective. Feeling emotions does not mean I'm losing control. It means I'm learning how to navigate them instead of being in control of them. Remember, emotions are digested. They're not processed. We can control our thoughts, right? We can control which ones we choose, which ones we pick, which ones we choose to bring into ourselves, right? Which ones we choose to listen to. Emotions are different. And we try to think our emotions away, and emotions are digested. And I'm going to tell you this, when you eat your food and you swallow it, you do nothing else with that. Everything else happens from the neck down, right? When you do your job and chew it up and you swallow it, as soon as it gets to the back of your tongue, you have nothing else to do with that food. It's going to go through a digestive process, right? And if something is like you got irritable bowel, or maybe you got some issues going on with your stomach or something like that, right? In this digestive tract, we go fix that. And that's what the healing process is. Listen, I'm about to digest this emotion. I'm going to chew on it for a minute, right? I used to have a show called Chat and Chew, right? Because we're going to chat and we're going to chew on these emotions, right? Once I swallow that, once I accept that, right? Once I've granulated it down, this is the difference between I'm telling myself a victim story versus a story that I can swallow, right? How can I look at this situation in the best way that I can swallow a situation, you guys, is to tell that story from a place of empowerment for me. But if I continue to tell myself this narrative from a place of I'm a victim or they did me wrong, you trying to swallow a whole piece of steak and it ain't going nowhere. It's always going to be stuck. That's the power. That's why we have to reshape our story so that I can now digest that. If I can look at the lesson, that's me being able to chew on it. If I can get some insight from that, that's me being able to chew on that. But if I'm continue to look at that like from this, and I'm saying this softly, you guys, this victim mindset that this person hurt me, this person did this thing to me, you cannot swallow that steak. It's going to be very difficult for you to. So now we got to sit down. We got to figure out how to tell ourselves the story about our past, about our life and everything that we can chew on. Once I chew on that and I swallow it, now the digestive process happens. The peptides are released, the emotions in my body. Now when I choose to let it go, right? Because now my body has gotten what it needs to get, right? I can let that go. I can let it go. But some of us, one, we're not digesting. We're not even, the emotion is like on our shoulders. We're just carrying it because we have a story associated with the situation that's not allowing us to even feel ourselves through this situation. A lot of us have told us that our hearts are deceptive, right? And because of these things, we have not created a relationship with our emotions. And because we not have created a relationship with our emotions, right? We feel like I'm gonna lose control when I start to feel again. I said all that to say that, and I'm saying this to say that emotions are a part of your life too, you guys. We all want people to give us emotions. We all want people to love us. We all want to feel love. We all want to feel love. We want to, um, you know, feel appreciation. But then when it's time for us to love, when it's time to us to show appreciation, when it's time for us to show up in these ways, it's like, that's difficult and it's hard. And it is, because it's life, and it's okay. You're safe. You are 100% safe with your emotions. They are not going to do anything to you. You know, it reminds me of somebody say, you know, what happens when you get high. Like, you know, you just going to trip in your mind, but you're going to be okay. Never heard nothing bad ever happens to somebody who smoked weed or something like that, right? It's kind of like that same concept. Like, yes, you're going to probably go through some loops, but you're going to be okay, right? Because you're safe, and not what you're going to tell yourself about that, right? As you're going through that situation. All right. So what I do want you guys to know that healing is challenging, but every step forward brings clarity, peace, and strength, right? Recognizing our obstacles really is about knowing that you are not alone in this and you're capable of healing. All right. All right. I do want to say this. What else do we need to know? That emotions, emotions can be an impact to and create this obstacle, right? We can get feelings like frustration, guilt, shame, hopelessness, right? In our frustration, we can think, why do I keep struggling with this same pattern? In our guilt and shame, we can feel things like I should be further along than I am now, right? In our hopelessness, we can feel maybe healing is just not meant for me, right? In our loneliness, no one understands what I'm going through, and I just want you to know that, hey, Miss Sharon said, "Let love lead." Yes, I just want you to know that all that is normal. All of that is okay. All right. I once worked with someone who felt too broken to get healed, and with small shifts, everything changed. You guys, everything changed. And then I also want you to know that the brain and the body's role, right? So our healing is just not emotional; it's biological, you guys. So the nervous system, and there's a nervous system in a trauma response. And remember, some people avoid healing because of their nervous system, right? Sometimes we're just wired for fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. What does that mean? When I get fearful, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna either flight this situation, right? I'm gonna freeze. I'm gonna say nothing. Or I'm gonna fawn. I'm gonna go along to get along. This is a survival mechanism, so that can interfere with my ability to heal when my nervous system is really wired for survival, right? And so, in some way, we have to um, override that. And how do I know that my nervous system is wired for survival? If you grew up in a chaotic home, right? Then you may feel, right, you may have this kind of what we call controlled chaos. All right. um you may be a little bit more resistant to peace because chaos kind of feels normal, and so you go into this fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And so we need to really move that. We need to move you from your survival brain. Okay. All right. Because the brain is resistant to change, you guys. The brain sees familiar as pain. um, the brain sees familiar pain as safer than this unknown healing space that you're trying to go into, right? That's why people sabotage their progress, you guys, because the brain sees this familiar pain as safer. And so people will sabotage, not because they don't want to be healed, you guys. And here's the thing, we talk about this in relationships. Somebody did something to you, and then like they said it was going to change, or even you said that you was going to change. This is why we got to give ourselves grace, because if we don't give ourselves grace, if we don't do that, guess what? When we go to sabotage this new way of being, it's like we're doing good, and then I just go do this very thing to just sabotage my progress. That's just your brain. Your brain is like not it is familiar with this unsafe this new change that you're going into is unsafe. It's familiar with this pain that you've been experiencing. And so as you start to go, sabotaging sometimes is like a part of the process. So we got to give ourselves grace. And then we also got to get ourselves some assistance. All right. But because change feels like a threat to our subconscious mind. All right. Right. Because change feels like a threat to our subconscious mind. All right. All right. And then resistance versus readiness. I just want to say this. It's two type of people that's listening to me right now, right? It's those that want to heal but feel stuck and they need the clarity, the tools and engagement. And then it's those that don't think they need to heal, you guys. Either you're gonna fall in one of those two sections, right? Either you want to heal and you feel stuck, or you don't think that you need to heal, right? You just need the awareness and guidance and things like that. And I just want to say, whatever side of the fence you sit on is okay. All right. It's okay. Uh, as you listen to this, share this or whatever, hopefully you get to decide the life you want. And then who do you need to become to get that life? And if healing is a part of that becoming, I just hope that you have the courage to do what you need to do to get the thing that you want, right? Because I just want to ask you this. What if healing wasn't about fixing yourself? What if it was about freeing yourself? What if healing wasn't even about fixing you? What if it was all about freeing you? Remember, I gave that analogy about the seed being in the ground. And when the seed is in the ground, it just got blocked by all these rocks. So it really couldn't grow into the tree. And like we were moving the rocks, we not changing the seed, right? And so this whole idea that I need fixed, I think has even gotten us to feel a little broken and distrusting of who we are. But what if healing wasn't really about fixing you, you guys? It was truly about freeing who you are. All right. I just want you to know that this is a great conversation. I enjoy it. I know that I'm over, but I'm. If y'all want me to continue, just put a 1 in there. Sometimes we can't heal because of different emotions, frustrations. In order for us to heal, we have to let go. Empowering our thinking ability in order for us to heal. On the other side, we have to let love lead. Thank you, Miss. Thank you, Miss Sharon. Thank you, Mama Sharon. Okay, because here's the thing. Thank you, Miss Jackie. Somebody put one in the chat. Miss Jackie said, "Yes, I want you to continue." All right. So healing is for those two people. Listen, awareness is great. Awareness is great, but transformation happens when we actually take the actions. Thank you, cousin Debbie. Right? Awareness actually happens when we take actions, you guys. I mean, awareness is great, but transformation really doesn't happen until we take this action. Now, I want to talk about this word transformation because this is important. Because when we think about fixing, right, we're not thinking about we're thinking about something broken. When we think about evolving, though, you're thinking about transformation. Because guess what? That seed has to what? Transform into roots. And those roots have to do what? Transform into a trunk. And that trunk has to do what? Transform into branches. And those branches have to do what? Transform itself into smaller branches. And then what has to happen? And then in that transformation into smaller branches, leaves happen, right? And then we get the apple. So when we talk about transformation, one, there are stages to it, right? Right. But in that case, the trunk never felt like it was broken. The roots never felt like it was broken when it transformed into the trunk. Never thought it was broken, right? But in some way, we think we are broken, right? And we need fixed versus something that's halting us from really transforming, right? It's like I'm stuck in roots. I'm stuck in, this trunk. And if we look at it like that, again, I think that it's more digestible for us, right? I can eat that better. I can chew on that. And then I can make, I can digest the emotions that come with that. But if I think that I'm broke, right, which is an obstacle, and I need to be fixed in some type of way, my thoughts need to be fixed. My brain needs to be fixed. My emotions need to be fixed, right? I got a broken heart, Now, when I think of broken heart, I'm thinking little pieces that then shattered into like all these things, and I got to put these pieces back together again. And that can just seem overwhelming in itself. But if I think about, I don't have a ripened heart, like something stopped my heart space from ripening. Something stopped my emotional space from ripening. And when I'm saying ripening, I watch a lot of king movies, like a lot of movies about kings and monarchs and things like that. And one day I'm watching it and they said, "Is the king ripe?" The daddy had died and they asked, like, "Is he ripe for this position?" And I wrote an ebook and it's called Am I Ripened? Right? Because I think a lot of places in our life, we're thinking that we're broken, and it might just be you just not ripened for that. And if you start the healing process now, and it could be something that's stunning your ripening, right? Stunning your ripening, right? And so if we get you in the right environment, change the way you're thinking about things, change the paradigm, guess what? Now the ripening process can continue. And a lot of us have just been halted, but we're not broken, right? We're not broken. And I'm going to tell you, like like earlier, that situation has done what it's going to do. It's going to do to you. Now you get to make a decision today to say how you going to choose to live. Are you going to change? Are we going to evolve? Or are we going to grow? All right. So I'm just going to ask you again, awareness is great, but transformation happens with actions. So, what's that one step that you're going to take? What's one thing that you can do? Maybe you can write a letter to your past self and forgiving yourself, right? Maybe you can make a mindset shift. Maybe you can pick up a book and do something different, right? To really start your healing process. So again, those 6 things were the things that's preventing you from healing. Okay. The obstacles that, the I'm fine mentality, the fear of facing your past, right? The belief that you are too broken, right? Culture and family conditions, and then fear of losing control, right? But just know that healing is not a journey, it's a destination. Healing is challenging, but every step forward brings clarity, peace, and strength. And you recognize yourself in any of these obstacles. If you recognize yourself in any of these obstacles, let me let you know you are not alone. You are not alone. You are capable. We're all ripening. We're all healing. We're all growing. We're all in this process, and we're going to be in this process for the rest of our life. That's another one of these conceptions, like as if we're not going to, have to heal, grow, expand throughout our life. Okay. Healing is not a straight path, you guys. It's a process that involves facing and working through our obstacles, not avoiding them. Many people think that obstacles mean that they're falling. Many people think obstacles mean that they are failing, but in reality, they're really signs that the healing is happening, you guys. Your brain and your body naturally wants to resist change because they are wired for survival, not for transformation. Your body is wired uh, for for survival, not for transformation, you guys. And so just by the mere fact of that, it's going to make this healing process this a little different. All right. This means that when you start to feel stuck, you start to feel overwhelmed, or like healing is too hard, it's not because you're incapable, you guys. I want you to know that this is not because you're incapable. It's because your mind and body are adjusting to this new normal, right? It's adjusting to this new way of being. And this is a process, not proof that you should quit. This is a process, not proof that you should quit. You guys, the frustration of facing obstacles is real. It's real. But imagine what it would feel like if you no longer, if you know, imagine what it would feel like to no longer be controlled by your old wounds, by your past stories, by what your mama did, by what your daddy did, by what your ex did, by what that grief did, right? Imagine living a life today where those old wounds didn't control you. It doesn't mean you won't feel it. It doesn't mean that those wounds won't show up. It just won't determine how you navigate your today. Imagine that. Healing is about reclaiming your peace, you guys, your clarity and emotional freedom. Every step you take, every step you take past an obstacle is one step closer to becoming the strongest version of yourself, or a stronger version of yourself. All right. So every step you take past an obstacle, right, is one step closer to becoming the strongest version of yourself. So what if obstacles were really there to try to not try to stop you guys, but were actually there to prepare you? What if we start to look at our obstacles as not trying to stop me, but to strengthen me, to prepare me? The discomfort you feel isn't a punishment, you guys. What if we thought that, like, the discomfort that I'm feeling is not God punishing me for what I did before? This pain that I'm feeling is not, in some way karma coming back and beating my butt, right? This is not a discipline act on my soul, right? It's proof that I'm transforming. What if I said that? Because I do think when we start to feel pain and we go to hit stuff, we think, okay, this God punishing me. There's something happened to me bad. This is some disciplinary act. Maybe I shouldn't do this. And we see it as resistance instead of proof of our transformation, you guys. Every challenge you overcome in your healing journey will build resilience, you guys, deepening your self-trust, because every obstacle that you're overcoming is allowing you to start to trust who? You again, right? It reminds you that you are no longer trapped in your past, you guys. That you are no longer trapped in your past. I once worked with somebody who believed that they were too broken to heal. Every time they tried, they faced self-doubt and emotionally was shut down. But the moment they changed their perspective, you guys, seeing their obstacles as proof that healing was happening, they found strength that they never knew they had. And today, they no longer see resistance as failure, but as a part of the transformation. And listen, studies on neuroplasticity, if you know what neuroplasticity is saying that, yep, your brain has the ability to rewire and refire itself, you guys. So studies on neuroplasticity show that the brain can rewire itself when we view challenges as opportunities instead of threats, when we actively reframe obstacles into a part of our healing process, and our brain adapts, making resilience a learned skill, you guys. The truth is that obstacles in healing doesn't mean something is wrong. This means that something is changing. That obstacles in our healing doesn't mean that something is wrong. It means that something is changing, right? Are you ready to start seeing your obstacles as signs to grow instead of a reason to stop? Put a light bulb in the chat for me. And then our biblical wisdom, you guys, I have 2 verses. I'm going to give these to you, and then I promise I'm going to let you go. So our first verse is Hebrews 12 and 11. Listen, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Listen, no discipline seems, Hebrews 12 and 11, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. What does this mean? Healing requires intentional effort, right? It's not always comfortable, but it leads to inner peace and wholeness, right? Just like training your body requires discipline and endurance, emotional and spiritual healing requires persistence. This verse reminds us that obstacles are temporary, but the growth that we gain from it are lasting, right? Right? What this means for our healing is that healing requires intentional effort, okay? It's not about being comfortable, but it leads to inner peace and wisdom. Just like training, the body requires discipline. Right there. Obstacles in our healing aren't there to punish us, you guys. They are a part of the process to strengthen us, right? Obstacles aren't here to punish us, you guys. They are a part of the process of strengthening us. So instead of resisting discomfort, we can see it as a path of lasting transformation. All right. Practical application, instead of saying this is too hard, I must be doing something wrong, shift that to this challenge is shaping me into the healed version of myself. Growth comes through encouragement, you guys. So I want you to challenge. I want you to think that challenges don't mean that you're failing, you guys. That mean that you're growing. All right. All right. That was Hebrews 12 and 11. Isaiah 42 and 43 and 2. This is our promise verse for today. Listen, when you pass through the water, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep you away. All right. When you walk through the fire, you will not get burned. The flame will not set you ablaze. All right. Ms. Debbie said, I agree. The obstacles are affirmations. Our affirmations of progress being made. Yes. Yes, Miss. Yes, Cousin Debbie. All right. So this verse, Isaiah 42 and 3. When you pass through the waters, when you pass through the water, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not swipe you away. And when you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. These flames will not set you ablaze. What does this mean? God doesn't promise life won't have obstacles, you guys. But he does promise that we won't. But he does promise we won't have to face them alone, right? He doesn't promise that we won't have obstacles, but he does promise his presence in all our obstacles. All right. Right. And then I say, remember, God worked through people. So when we're going through obstacles, guess what? He's going to send himself through people to support you. And what we have to do is be willing to allow that support in. Like that man who sat on that river was asking for help, and them people was coming by and saying, hey, you need help, you need help. He ended up drowning. And God said, well, when he drowned, he asked God, and I was praying to you, I was asking you, and God said, I sent 3 people, 2 boats in a helicopter. And you said no. So remember, God worked through people. So when we're feeling like we're going through things and we're healing and we're shifting, and people like, hey, do you need some help over there? Hey, you want me to come pick you up? We gotta move our pride to the side, because that may be God's way of helping you through your healing journey, right? But you don't see it that way, because you're still holding on to the old way. Like, I can do it alone. I don't need help. Or God, this God that I'm praying to is going to do something miraculous. Yeah, he's going to do something miraculous in you and through the people around you. And so sometimes we have to learn how to even say yes to ourselves. And when people ask us, can I come help? Can I, do this? Would you like this? Yeah. Yes. Practice saying yes. Yes. God will always be with us, and he will never leave us. Yes, Mama Sharon, right? So God doesn't promise that a life without obstacles, you guys, but he does promise that we won't have to face those obstacles alone. So no matter how painful or overwhelming the healing process may feel, we are never abandoned, right? So this verse assures us that God's presence is constant in our journey, right? His strength is there to protect us, right? Right? Because he doesn't promise us a life without obstacles. All right. Healing often feels like moving through deep waters, right? Or walking through a fire. It's very intense, it's overwhelming, and it's painful. But this verse reminds us that we're not going to drown and we're not going to burn. But through this process, we will be refined. All right. So when healing feels too difficult, instead of thinking, I can't do this, shift to, I am not alone in this. I have everything within me to move through this challenge. Right. Obstacles are temporary, but the peace and the wholeness on the other side, guess what, are permanent. All right. Healing doesn't require perfectionism. It doesn't require perfectionism, you guys, because grace meets you where you are. So we don't have to be perfect. We can do this a little messy and a lot messy, or up or down or left or right. We get to choose. All right. All right. So I want you to reflect on, what is the obstacle that, what if the obstacles in your healing wasn't meant to stop you, but to strengthen you? How would your healing journey change if you saw it that way? All right. And today, we're going to give our action steps, our transformational tools. So how can I help myself? This will be pause, recognize the trigger, right? Instead of getting frustrated, we want to name it. We want to name that trigger, right? We want to reframe it, right? shift our perspective. If your mind says healing is too hard, we're going to replace that with this is challenging, but I'm capable of overcoming it, right? And then we're going to choose a new response, right? So instead of the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which is where I fight, right? I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna defend myself. The fight, flight. I'm getting up. I'm finna go. Right. The freeze or fawn. We're gonna try. The freeze is just honors, don't do nothing, and then the fawn is I go along to get along. Right. We're gonna do something different. Right. We're gonna choose a different response, and the way we're gonna choose that is probably gonna breathe. We're going to ground ourselves, breathe. We're going to journal about that. We're going to affirm our growth, right? This obstacle is making me stronger so I can sit here. We're going to affirm our safety, you guys. I'm safe, right? Again, if you're not in a threatening situation, if the threat is only in your mind, you guys, you're safe, right? And I'm not minimizing that because the threats in our minds really are they seem real, but we're going to breathe our way through that, right? We're going to breathe. And then always, always, always seek support, right? Seek support. Healing is not meant to be done alone. Okay. All right. Our affirmation for today. Okay. I am not my obstacles. I am my healing, right? Every challenge I face is shaping me into the strongest version of myself. I release fear, embrace growth, and I'm trusting the process. All right. I release fear. I embrace growth, and I'm trusting the process. All right. Our daily intention today. Miss Tamika said, "You're teaching." Thank you. Thank you so much. Miss Debbie said, "Amen." The journey may not be easy, but it's very much attainable. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Miss Sharon said, "God will always be with us. He will never leave us." Yes. Thank you, Mama Sharon. All right. So our daily intention today, remember this is just setting the tone for the day. So today I shift my perspective on obstacles. Instead of seeing them as barriers, I will see them as stepping stones. I trust that every challenge is guiding me towards my highest healing, right? Every challenge is guiding me towards my highest healing. All right. And then our challenge for the next 24 hours, when you notice resistance in your healing, right? Pause. And y'all, listen, if y'all don't get it already, a lot of these things is just pause. You know, the whole stop it now movement is a pause. If we don't get that, stop it now. The book that's on Amazon, if you haven't gotten it, go get it. The stop it now framework or methodology is all teaching us how to pause. Pause, stop, and really get present, right? Get present enough that this next action I'm taking, I'm actually a part of it. I'm actually present for it. It's just not coming out of autopilot. I just ain't rolling my eyes because I'm used to it. I'm just not saying no because I'm used to saying no. I'm not doing this from this place of teaching me. You know, there was this philosophy that said before you can start any new thing, you got to stop the old thing, right? And then you got to neutralize before this new thing can take root. All right. But a lot of times we're trying to start a new thing on top of an old thing and then start another new thing. And we're wondering, like, why is it not working? Why is this not working? And it's not working because you're trying to keep adding on, adding on, adding on. And we need to like start in some way, like, you know, going through here and seeing, okay, what's working, what's not working. And we need to actually stop some stuff. Like we need to stop these weeds from growing because they taking the nutrients out the plants, right? We need to stop and dig up some of these rocks out the soil because it's messing, you know, it's messing up the filtration system, right? In us. So we really need to stop. So our 24-hour challenges, when we notice resistance to healing, you guys pause, name the obstacle, reframe it, and take one step forward. Right. Now, drop a fire in the chat. Right? If this session helped to shift your perspective on the obstacles that we're facing on healing, listen, let's celebrate our growth. And remember, if you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. Make sure that you subscribe to that YouTube channel, you guys, where I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers so that it's at I Am Shaper Solutions. on YouTube. Hey, if this made sense to you, make sure you invite a friend, right? Invite a friend to the Facebook group. I thank the people who has invited people into our community, right? So make sure you invite a friend. Our goal is to also get 1,000 members in this group, right? Plus this year. Listen, knowledge alone won't change your life. Actions will. All right. Imagine having personal guidance, real accountability, and support to really help you apply what you just learned, right? So inside of this project life, where we turn theory into practice, you'll get the coaching tools, the strategies to help you really move past your obstacles and step fully into your transformation, right? Your healing journey doesn't have to be a solo mission, you guys. So join for just $47 a month. That's what we do our weekly labs, right? At SheilaLittle.com/life. Thank you for the fires. I just want you to know I love you guys. I love you guys. And tomorrow we're talking about patterns, how to break the patterns that's keeping us stuck, you guys, and how to heal, how to break the patterns that's keeping us stuck, and how to heal. I love you guys. I apologize for one coming on late and then keeping y'all for an hour and 40 minutes, but I really feel like it's necessary because obstacles are really getting away from us really transforming into the people that God created us to be, and more importantly, no, not more importantly, but equally as important, having the experiences that we want to have, right, as we transform, because you are not broken and you don't need to be fixed. All right. We just have some obstacles that we got to move out the way in your mind, in your body, in your heart. Okay. So that you can continue to become the person that you were created to be. All right. Good morning, Miss Lorraine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you guys. Till later.